Hello, good evening to everyone. Today we are in the Godox Facebook live. This is Ram Charan, Godox technical expert, and today we are in this live session. Actually, we have done many live sessions in earlier, like tech decoder sessions in the Godox Facebook page in many regional languages, which are happened recently. But it is a very special day today. In this session, we are going to get more information about the Godox AD100 Pro and how to use it in a wedding. I told this is a very special session because this session going to conduct by our Godox mentor Nita Shankar ma'am, and she is going to share the experience using the Godox AD300 Pro, how to get exciting images using AD300 Pro in the wedding. Okay, this session will be completely in the English language, so you can ask any questions in the comment section below. Neeta ma'am will answer you the questions at last end of the session. So now, welcome Neeta ma'am.
Hi, thanks Ram. Thanks for having me here. It's really nice to be, conducting this live and talking about one of my favorite lights. So I think we should wait a few minutes for some more people to join, right?
Okay, ma'am, we will wait, ma'am. Sure, we will wait.
Yeah.
On a couple of minutes, we will wait.
Yeah. So meanwhile, let me just uh, start off talking about a little bit about me. So I'm Neeta Shankar. I'm a wedding and lifestyle photographer from Bangalore. I have been a Godox brand ambassador for a couple of years now, and yeah, I'm also one of the Nikon expertives, and I am also one of the mentors for Goods and Moza and Data Color Spider and a couple of other brands. So. Uh, yeah, so today I'm going to majorly talk about lighting in weddings and specifically how I use AD300 Pro because it's one of my most favorite lights. I mean, apart from the AD200 Pro, earlier I used to use my favorite one was AD200 Pro, and I switched to AD300 Pro once it was available. And I mean, I use both of them now. So I'll talk about how I use these lights in wedding shoots. So I see a few people have joined.
Yes, ma'am. I think it's right time to conduct. Many are
Okay.
waiting there.
Okay, sure. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so let's start off today's session. So I already did a quick introduction. So let me skip that about me. So these are the channels where you can follow me. My website, my YouTube, my Instagram, and Facebook links are right there. So do follow me, and in case you have any questions, do reach out to me, connect with me on Instagram or on Facebook Messenger. You could also follow me on Clubhouse. So I'm sure a lot of you are on Clubhouse, and it's catching up really fast, and it's a really amazing network. We've been having a lot of sessions on Clubhouse, and I think it's a great platform where we can actually discuss a lot of these topics related to Godox and related to photography in general. So I have a couple of clubs on Clubhouse called Nita Shankar Photography, and also there is a club very specifically related to Godox lighting called Godox Users. Do connect with me over there. Do follow me there. We do conduct sessions every now and then, and we invite a lot of photographers to talk on various topics. This includes lighting, photography, wedding photography, and a lot of things. So we have a few sessions coming up there as well. So do make sure that you follow us on Clubhouse if you are on Clubhouse. So let's begin the session. Although the session is primarily going to be about AD300 Pro, let me start off with talking about all the various lighting equipment that I use, because of course, just a single light cannot really complete your lighting kit. There are different kinds of light for different scenarios, and different kinds of modifiers that I prefer in different scenarios. So I'll talk about all of the lights that I use very briefly. So one of the first things that I think any person should own is like a 5-in-1 reflector. I mean, it's not really a flash or anything, but it's still a decent source when it comes to using it as a fill light. So this is one of the most inexpensive items that one can use and enhance their lighting. So I have the Godox 5-in-1 reflector, and it's really nice. So other than that, I use a lot of constant lights. Constant lights are great when we shoot video. For example, right now all these in my studio are constant lights. So especially in weddings, when we do both photo and video, we need to use constant lights, because if there is like a constant flashes going on in the video, sometimes it doesn't look nice. When there is a very important moment going on, we wouldn't want a lot of flashes to disturb the moment. And also, for the video to come out nice, we need to ensure that the lighting for video is also really good. So constant lights is what is going to help you there. There are a lot of LED lights like SL60, SL150, SL200. These are some of the lights I use for right now I'm using two SL200s in my studio, for the key light and the fill light. And there is one SL150 which is lighting up the background as well, just to add a little bit of depth into the scene. So uh, so other than these constant lights, we also use the LED stick, the LC500, which is again a very, very convenient tool for wedding photographers. Uh, Other than the LC500, I also use LED 500, which is like a small LED panel that fits in on top of the bag very easily, and it's very portable. It's very easy to use, and that is another thing that we use quite often. So apart from that, of course, I use an on-camera flash that I keep switching between flash and a trigger. So like this is my V1. You can see that it's attached to my camera. So generally during weddings, how I use is, although I can use this as a bounce flash, I can either use it as a bounce flash, or V1 or any of the Godox flashes can also switch to become a trigger. So I can put it into a mode where it can trigger my other lights, that is my off-camera lights, which could be AD200 or AD300 or AD600, whatever it is. So that is a great advantage of using V1 or any of the Godox flashes on your camera. So that's why I usually have like an on-camera flash on the camera. And other than that, I use pocket flashes. Like I mentioned before, AD200 was a big favorite of mine earlier, and ever since the 300 came out, I've been using the AD300 as well. Right now, it's attached to the S bracket. Let me just remove that so that you can see. Yeah, so the AD300 has been a big favorite ever since it came out. So I'll talk about the light in detail going forward. But yeah, so these are some of the flashes that I use in weddings. I'll talk about my wedding lighting kit in a bit. Other than that, there are powered strobes like QS600, SK400, or QT600, all these are powered strobes, and I prefer not to use them in weddings. I use them sometimes in my studio when I'm going to shoot a lot of images, maybe for e-commerce, or a portrait session where I know I'm going to shoot a lot of images, and I need that constant, the I where I would need to take a lot of images and I can't keep switching out batteries. So, but when it comes to weddings, I don't like powered strobes because all the cables and everything, it becomes really clumsy to work with in weddings. So that's why I prefer these lithium ion battery operated strobes, and I prefer strobes which are really small. I'll talk more about that. So apart from this, I also use the AD400, AD600, AD600 Pro. These are some of the lights that I have absolutely loved, when I'm shooting outdoors, because they have so much of power that when you're shooting outdoors, when you want to overpower the sun, it becomes really handy to use these lights. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about all the flashes. So when it comes to Godox flashes, there are three options. Three to four options. V1 is my favorite because it has a round head. It becomes easier for me to use the AKR1 modifiers, which are again really compact modifiers that can fit onto a flash. And I mean, let me see if I can you get me the AKR1? Yeah. So as you can see, the V1 has a round head, so it becomes easier to just use the AKR1 to modify the light. These are basically magnetic modifiers that can just fit on top of your V1, and it becomes really handy to use them because they come in a very compact case. It's very easy to carry them around. It's very easy to swap them around because it's just magnetic. All you need to do is just snap it onto your flash. So that's why I like V1. And of course, in the past, I've also used V862. I've also used TD685, and I generally prefer flashes with. One second. I generally prefer flashes with lithium ion battery as compared to like a AA battery. So it becomes really easy to use them in like long shoots without having to swap batteries. So before I started using Godox flashes, I started using Godox flashes quite early, but before that we all had like AA battery, alkaline battery powered flashes, which always used to like die in between the shoots, and then we had to like swap out four batteries. It was always really cumbersome. So I think even if someone is buying a flash, I think you should always invest in a lithium ion battery because it becomes a lot more easier to work like full days with it. So there are Godox options as well which take like four alkaline batteries, but it's always better to go with something like V862 or V1 for your flash. So I was talking about AKR1 modifiers. So these are the modifiers that just snap onto the camera. They're magnetic, so they easily snap onto the camera, and it becomes snap onto the flash, and it becomes really easy to use them during shoots. So I already talked a little bit about constant lights. LC500 is one of my favorites. It's a light wand from Godox that is really versatile, and it's great for situations when you are in a hurry. You don't have a lot of time to set up your flash to take a test shot or anything. So when you want to see what you get, these LED lights work really well. So LC500 and or any other LED light panel like those small 500 LED 500 or LED 1000 will also do a great job. But LC500 is kind of very versatile because it's got the warm and cool colors, and then there is a lot of flexibility that you can achieve using that. I'll show some images going forward where I've used LC500, and I'll also show some images where I've used flash, specifically AD300 and AD200 flashes. So we'll talk about that. So I already spoke about the SL series lights. So that is also something I use for, when we're shooting video. And I already did mention about the powered strobes. These are great if you are a studio photographer, if you're going to be mostly shooting indoor, inside your studio, you're not going to move around, then you should definitely consider powered strobes, because since they're powered, they don't have to run out of batteries, and you don't have to worry about, they'll have much faster recycle time. They'll not have the issue of battery overheating or anything like that. So if you're going to shoot in one place and you're not going to move your lights around much, then powered strobes is the way to go. So other than that, I've always been talking about AD200 and AD300. Before AD300 came out, AD200 was like my most favorite Godox flash. It still is one of my favorite Godox flashes. Like I said, all flashes have a different purpose, and they have a place in the whole, in different genres. So AD200 is again really awesome because it's quite small, and it is again very versatile because it has a lot of these swappable heads. Then like currently I have this round head H200R attached to it, so I can again use the AKR1 modifiers that I was talking about using with V1. I can again use it on this as well. So it is really, really convenient that if I want to change the modifier, all I have to do is just just remove that and put this, and it snaps back on because it's magnetic. So that is what becomes, that is what used to make AD200 one of my favorite lights. And other than that, one second. Okay, so where should I? Okay, okay, yeah. So I just got feedback that uh, let me just. Okay, so yeah. All right. So now you should be able to see all the equipment that I'm showing. All right. So the like I was saying, AD200, I prefer it. I used to prefer this the most because it's very versatile. It's got different heads that I can swap with, and I can also use these AKR1 modifiers right on to this because it's all magnetic. So that is one of my favorite flashes. Of course, after AD300 came out and I tried it out, I really like it for a couple of reasons. One is, of course, it is more powerful than the AD200. So sometimes there would be situations when you would need a little bit of extra power, especially if you're shooting in like outdoor situations. Sometimes AD200 power may not be enough. And although if you want to like completely overpower the sun, you would definitely need something much more powerful like the AD600 or maybe even AD1200. But if you're shooting, I mean, if you're not shooting in like bright sunlight, and if you want a little more power than the AD200, then AD300 is definitely a good flash to have. So I'll talk about the features of AD300 Pro in detail in the coming slides. So So apart from this, I also mentioned about AD400 Pro, AD600 Pro. All these lights are something I use during portrait shoots only, because during weddings I don't want to go through the hassle of carrying heavy equipment. because I think wedding shoots are all about portability. We need to be really agile, and we need to be able to move from one place to another. It's not this, our style of photography is not like how the traditional wedding photography used to happen over the years, like where they used to set up lights and they used to just stay in one place and take the shots. But now, as candid wedding photographers, we move around a lot. Like we sometimes shoot from behind, we shoot from down, we shoot from on either side, or sometimes we may go really far and take a shot, a very wide shot. Sometimes we may go really close. So in such situations, I would want the lights to be very portable, because I would need the light to fall in a certain angle. So I usually have like someone to assist me on weddings, and they help me move the lights. But of course, if you are not in wedding shoots, like if you don't have that pressure of shooting a wedding, if you're shooting maybe a pre-wedding shoot or a portrait shoot, then AD600 Pro or AD400 Pro are also great choices. I especially love having so much of power on hand that you can even if you're shooting in daylight, you can kill the ambient light, and you can ensure that you get uh, a lot of, I mean, you can overpower the ambient light that is there. Okay, so apart from that, these are some of the light modifiers that I use. uh, I uh, I mean, one of the cheapest modifiers one can use is probably an umbrella, like a white shoot through umbrella. So you can see that whether you're using an S bracket with the AD300 Pro, or you're using the adapter that came with the AD300 Pro, you'll have like an umbrella mount in your this umbrella mount in your adapter, which through which you can slide in the umbrella and you can just use the flash with it. So that is one of the cheapest modifiers one can buy. So I usually like to shoot through the using the white shoot through umbrella. You could also use the silver reflective umbrella and make the lighting indirect. It's totally up to you what kind of lighting that you want to achieve in the end. So other than that, there are lots of soft boxes and octa boxes that Godox has. Like I love using the parabolic softbox, for example. Like I use the P90 during outdoor shoots, because if I'm shooting outdoor, I would want the light to reach a little longer distance, and parabolic softbox by nature helps throw the light much further away. So I use the parabolic softbox when we are shooting outdoors, and if we are shooting indoors, I generally, I use a variety of modifiers, right from rectangular softboxes to octa boxes to beauty dishes, depending on what kind of result I want to achieve. Uh, in weddings, of course, I don't carry bulky modifiers, because I think that's a lot of time that goes into setting it up and also like moving it around. The bulkier the modifier, it becomes more cumbersome to move it around. Plus, you would be blocking the view of the guests and they wouldn't like it. So, most often during weddings, I use very small modifiers, like maybe a 45-inch or 60-inch softbox. That is what works really well. And I want it to be something that an assistant can easily carry in hand. So if it's like a huge modifier, they'll not be able to carry in their hand. So I would want the assistant to be able to hold it in their hand. So that's why I use smaller modifiers for weddings. Of course, if you use large modifiers, the light is going to be a lot softer than small modifiers. But in weddings, I think it's mostly a balance that you strike between the softness of light versus the portability. So I think in weddings, the most important thing is to ensure that you are portable. I mean, you can move around easily and your equipment is portable, because that is the only way you will be able to stay creative for a long time, and you will not tire yourself up by like trying to move around heavy equipment, and you will be able to make a lot of interesting images. Okay, so Yeah, so far I've been talking about my lighting kit for weddings. So let me again quickly go over that. So like I said, I use LC500 for scenarios where I want to make some quick shots. Sometimes in weddings we just don't have the time to take out big equipment or set up big equipment or even flashes. Sometimes we just don't have the time. Things happen in a rush, and then you have to be on your toes at all times, and you have to make the shots really quickly. Sometimes in weddings we get only like 2 to 3 minutes to make some portraits, and during those times, if we spend a lot of time on setting up our flash and getting the power output perfect and everything, it may take time. So in such scenarios, I prefer to use the constant lights like the LC500 or LED 500 or LED 1000, or even LC500R, whichever is available. That's what I prefer to use when I'm in a rush. Otherwise, most often my favorite one, it used to be AD200, now it's AD200 as well as AD300 Pro. So these lights are what makes up my wedding kit. I don't I usually carry one 300 now and one AD200, and that's what makes the wedding kit. I also use V1. Like I said, I use V1 on my camera body as an on-camera flash, also as a trigger, so that I can trigger my AD300 or my AD200 with it. So apart from that, I do carry a trigger, but if I have V1 on my camera, I don't need an extra trigger. And I also I prefer to use light modifiers. So you could use mag mod, or you can use AKR1. AKR1 is a much more inexpensive kit when it comes to mag mod. So I think it makes sense and that's why I prefer to use that. Like, it comes in a small box, it's much more compact. So it comes in a small box, and you have all sorts of modifiers like a grid and a barn door and gels, and uh, you can see all these little things. So it's been really, really convenient because again, these are the gel set. It's been really convenient because, like I said, I use a round head on my AD200 as well, so I can easily swap the modifiers between V1 and that. So apart from that, I also use a small softbox, like I said, to use on my AD300 or my AD200. If you are using Bowens mount softboxes, you would need something like the S2 bracket, and you can just attach your S2 bracket to your AD300, and then any Bowens mount can easily fit onto it. Of course, you need to remove the reflector. Get rid of the reflector. Okay, so yeah, so this is how you would connect. Sorry, I put it opposite. Let me just switch that. Yeah, so this is how you would connect your AD300 to any of the Bowens mount modifiers. So you can just put it on the S2 bracket. Your S2 bracket will go onto your light stand or onto your stick, and someone can hold it for you. And your Bowens mount modifiers, like any soft boxes or octa boxes or whatever you have, can go onto the S2 bracket. Okay, so I did already mention about my lighting kit for portrait shoots as well. Apart from the AD200 and AD300, I also usually carry a AD600 during pre-wedding shoots and portrait shoots, because it makes it, because most often we shoot outdoors, and we would have to overpower a lot of sunlight, and so I prefer the AD600 to give me a lot of power. Yeah, so let me talk about some of the reasons why I chose AD300 Pro. So one of the reasons, like I said before, I don't want to carry a lot of heavy equipment, because according to me, according to my experience, I always feel that if I, have to lug around a lot of equipment, it tires me out very soon. And then once I feel a little tired, my creativity just dies. So for me, it's very, very important to ensure that I'm not tired, ensure that we are not carrying too much of equipment, because obviously with professional shoots, there are so many little things that you have to carry, right from say if you're doing photo and video, you would need two sets of lights, you would need a gimbal for video shoots, you would need tripod, monopod, you would need all the lenses and cameras, and plus all the flashes and everything. There's so much of stuff that you would need to carry to a professional shoot. So and especially during these difficult times, when there is when we are shooting during lockdown and stuff, you wouldn't want to carry so much of equipment because you may not have a lot of people on your team to help you out. So especially now when it's very important to shoot like less number of people, uh, to ensure that your team size is small, so that you're not uh, I mean, especially during these times when maximum number of people allowed in a wedding is just 50. If you go with a team size of 5, it doesn't look good. So it doesn't make sense to have a lot of heavy equipment for me when it comes to weddings. And that's why I think I prefer the AD300 Pro. I think it's like the most perfect compact size. Let me just remove this S bracket so that I can show you what the size is like. Okay, so this is the AD300 Pro. So you can see, if you look at it, it's not really as big as maybe a 7200 lens. It is smaller than a 7200 lens, maybe slightly bigger than like a 105 lens. So it's quite handy. It is most often it'll fit into the lens pocket in your camera bag. I mean, it'll fit into lens pocket in all camera bags. So it makes it easier for it to just take it around with you on shoots, as compared to the AD200 Pro. If I have to compare these two, you can see that AD200 is taller and it's more flatter, whereas this is more round. So if you look at the size, maybe just sorry, I lost my screen. Yeah, so if you look at the size, obviously AD300 is shorter, but it's more round, but and it's slightly more heavier than the AD200, but it's still very, very compact. It's still very portable. And I absolutely love the build quality on this. It feels a lot more sturdier and well built. The design is something that they have definitely put a lot of thought into. So yeah, so that is one of the reasons why I like uh, the AD300 Pro. Of course, it has all the features that your AD200 Pro would have, like the color stable temperature mode, stable color temperature mode, or the high speed sync ability up to 1 by 8,000th of a second, or a really fast recycle time. Its battery can last for about like 320 shots in full power, and you'll get a lot more shots if you're not shooting full power all the time. So apart from that, I mean, of course, all these features are common to all the pro models of Godox lights. But if you specifically ask about the AD300 Pro, the stuff that I like the most are that it has this frosted bulb cover. Like, you can take this off, so you can see it has got the flash tube has a cover which has like the frosted uh, uh, cover to it, so it kind of diffuses the light a little bit, so it's not very harsh. So even if you sometimes have to use it like a modeling lamp, without any modifier to it produces pretty decent light quality. And Yeah, so that is one of the things. And apart from that, what I really like about it is that it has a modeling lamp which is bicolored. So right now you can see that I've turned it on and the modeling lamp is warm, right? And I can change that. If I press and hold the modeling lamp, I can change the color. You can see I'm going from warm to cool. So it has a bicolored modeling lamp. This is really handy. Like for example, if you don't have like an LED light along with your flash, you can always use the modeling lamp of your AD300 for like quick shots. You can use it on people, you can use it while you're shooting details. Sometimes you may want to see the light, say if you're shooting rings or if you're shooting the bridal outfit or jewelry or something, and you want a quick light source, a good quality LED light source, then you have it right here. So you don't have to like hunt around for an LED light at that time, and you can actually switch between flash and LED in these. So that is one advantage. All other the AD200, then all other modeling lamps are all single colored, whereas this has a bicolored LED modeling lamp. So that is an advantage that I've really liked working with. And apart from that, the AD300 Pro comes with a smaller AD300 Pro comes with a smaller Godox mount. So you can see that this mount is really small compared to a Bowens mount. So you get a lot of these new Godox mount soft boxes, which are a lot more compact than Bowens mount, because Bowens mount in general is like quite broad. So it becomes bulkier. No matter how small the soft box is, it still becomes bulkier. Whereas with the Godox mount, because the mount is in itself very small, the Godox mount short boxes are quite easy to use, and are quite easy to set up, and they are very portable. So I think that is something I'm going to be exploring a lot. I see that Godox is releasing a lot of new Godox mount modifiers. So I am looking forward to exploring those new modifiers for this setup, because I think portability, like I said, matters the most to me. And if I can ensure that the softbox is also portable and not too difficult to carry around, I think that is what will change the game in wedding photography. So, of course, if you have a lot of Bowens mount modifiers, you can always use the uh, S2 bracket, and you can mount it on any of the Bowens mount modifiers. Now, let's say you before Godox you were using Ellen Chrome or Broncolor or Profoto or any other brand lights. Like I before I switched to Godox years ago, I used to use Ellen Chrome, and I did have some old soft boxes. If I want, I can also use those using the ADB2, sorry, not ADB2, ADAB adapter that goes onto your AD300. You can attach any other you can buy the specific ring for those different brand modifiers, and you can use those as well in case you have some old modifiers left in your studio, or if you have friends who have some old modifiers, you can always use those along with Godox lights, especially the AD300 Pro. So that adapter is called ADAB. So you should definitely look into that, because that again will help you uh, get a many more options of light modifiers in your kit. So apart from that, uh, yeah, like I said, it's really portable, so it becomes easy for an assistant to hold. Just like AD200, like that was the biggest reason why I initially bought the AD200, because it's very easy for someone to just hold it in their hand. You don't always need a light stand, because in weddings not always you are able to set up a light stand in every place and then move it around. Sometimes you may not have the space, sometimes people may knock it off, and it becomes very difficult in, especially in South Indian weddings, when there will be a lot of people on the stage during the muhurtam, when when the rituals are going on. So you don't want someone to accidentally knock off your light. It has happened to me a lot of times in the past. So you may either break your flash tube, or it may fall on somebody and hurt them, which is even worse. So it's better, if you have a friend or an assistant to help you out. They can just hold the light, because these are really lightweight. They can just hold it in their hand. They don't always need a stand. And let's say you change your angle while you're shooting, it's always easier for you to tell your assistant to move to the other angle, instead of someone carrying the light stand and setting up over there. Okay, so I think I talked about all the advantages. Yeah, I think I talked about all the advantages. As you can guess from the name itself, it's 300 watt seconds light, so it has 100 watts more power than an AD200. So which comes up to like a whole stop of light that you can get additional, when compared to AD200. And yeah, one of the other things that has really worked for me is because I already owned like 2 to 3 AD200s. I had a lot of batteries for AD200, and as you can see, this AD300 has a different battery, but it is also back compatible with the AD200 batteries. So you can use the AD200 or AD200 Pro's batteries on this. So in case I run out of battery on this, I don't need to buy extra batteries for AD300 as well. I can always use my AD200 batteries on it. So that way, it's been an advantage. Okay, so that's about AD300. So you can see another image that was shot recently, very recently, uh, uh, immediately after the lockdown lifted, with the AD300. So like I said, now when I want to move around and I want to keep my kit light, if I know that I'm not going to be shooting in like broad daylight, then I prefer the AD200 or the AD300. And ever since the AD300 came out, it has replaced the key light in my kit, and AD200 is mostly used as a fill light or a rim light, or an accent light sort of thing. So here again, this was like a single light portrait using an AD300 with a softbox. Let me just make that screen bigger. Okay, so Ram, are there any questions so far?
Yes, we have so many questions, ma'am. Actually, we are doing in multiple destinations, like a YouTube channel and Facebook,
Yeah.
Godox India. So we have so many questions here. Shall we go for the question session, ma'am?
Yeah, we can answer a few questions. Then again, I'll talk a little more about
Okay, okay,
different
ma'am.
things. Yeah.
Actually, one of the person commented, how to, can you suggest an ideal lighting for setup weddings? He's asking this question.
Okay, so I'll tell you what is ideal for me. I always prefer to use at least two lights, two off-camera flashes. Earlier it used to be two AD200 Pros. Now I use one AD200 Pro and one AD300 Pro. You can also use two AD300 Pros, or two AD200 Pros according to your budget and according to your preference. So what I want to tell you is, consider getting like a powered strobe like the AD200 Pro or the AD300 Pro. Consider getting one of these, put it on a soft box, have either a friend hold the light if you're using a single light, or put it on two light stands, and that will make your main key light and your fill light. And you can always, in case you want to use it as key light and rim light, or you can always move the stands around. Ensure you carry like a small light stand which is like portable, which is easy to move around, not too heavy. You can always weigh down the light stands with sandbags so that it doesn't topple off. uh, but if you are very new to lighting, you can also consider just having one of these, like AD300 Pro or AD200 Pro, as your main flash. And you can always use your on-camera flash as bounce flash once in a while. So that is what you should shoot at weddings like.
Okay, ma'am. This answer will be very useful to him, I think so. And one more interesting question a person asked. I think the same person. He is asking, are you using the halogen lamps, ma'am, in your wedding?
We used to use halogen lamps, but they tend to heat up a lot, and especially South Indian weddings that happen in peak summer, it becomes really, really difficult to work with halogen lights when everyone is sweating because of it. And especially if you're shooting indoors and if you're shooting in like small convention halls or banquet halls, halogen lamps sometimes becomes really difficult to work with. So that's why we switched over to LED lights. These don't heat, and plus they require lesser power. Sometimes in wedding halls and banquet halls, you don't get the required power to power like 4,000-watt lights, but it will be always easier to power 200-watt lights. So that's why we switched over to LED lights, like SL200 or SL150, depending on what power we need. So yeah, so we used to use halogen lamps uh, for a while, but now we've switched. But most often I prefer to use flashes because I think it works better for me that way.
So you are using this SL series totally replaced with the halogen lamp. Is it right,
Yeah,
ma'am?
yeah,
Okay, okay. I think this answer also will be helpful to the person who asked this question. Okay, ma'am. Shall I proceed with the questions or
yeah,
going
sure.
go?
You can
Okay,
ask
okay.
a couple of them.
Okay, ma'am. One person is asking how to cut the horse light from how to cut the horse sunlight. That means using the AD300.
Okay. So if you're working with like absolutely bright sunlight, like midday sun and without any shade cover, then you should at least consider like an AD600 Pro, because if you want to like really, get uh, a really good light quality and quantity, then you would definitely need the AD600 Pro. But if you're working with AD300 Pro alone, you don't have, a lot of I mean, you don't have the budget for 8600 Pro, or you haven't carried it with you, then try and look for places which have a little bit of shade cover, so that it's not like bright sunlight that you're working with. Like imagine if you're working on a desert or a beach where there's absolutely no shade cover, then, and if you're working in like midday sun, you would definitely need 8600 Pro. But if you are say working in a park or place where you can at least get a little bit of shade cover, then 8300 Pro will definitely help. One thing you could do to increase the light output is to use it with like long focus reflectors, which comes in Godox mount now. So you can use that to increase the light quantity by a stop. It definitely helps. Other thing that you could do is maybe remove the modifier, because it's got like a frosted or rather diffused glass cover. So even if you remove the modifier and use it bare bulb, you still will get like a decent quality light output, because your softbox or your octobox also reduce the power of your light by a stop or two stops, depending on what kind of modifier you're using. So you could also try using bare bulb. But of course, if you want the light quality to be good, you would need shaping tools and modifier tools. So like soft boxes, octoboxes, or grids, and things like that. So in such a scenario, consider upgrading it to a more powerful light like the 8600 Pro.
Okay, okay. And one more question, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, one person is asking how to Can you suggest a lighting arrangements for low key portrait shoots?
Sure. So basically, when you want to do low-key portrait shoots, you basically need your background to go completely dark, and you would need to light your subject with your flashes, right? So one tip that I can give is that ensure you have a lot of distance between your subject and the background. So then automatically the light, the background will go dark, and then you can use like a single light setup or like two light setup to create that low key kind of an effect. So you would either use your key light alone, or you can use a rim light to add a separation from the background, especially when you're shooting low key portraits. If you like, obviously your subjects will have like black hair and against a black background, sometimes you don't see the separation of their hair, or if they're wearing dark clothes, you don't see the separation between their clothes or hair and the background. And in order to give that separation, you would need to use like a rim light. So like a two light setup will be like, two or three light setup would be like most ideal for low key portrait shoots. But I've also done it with single light setup, and it comes out well in that as well. So depending on what how many lights you have, you can try that.
Okay, I think this answer will be very useful to the person who asked this question. And I don't find any other questions, ma'am. So you can continue with your presentation. So,
Okay, sure.
so,
Okay, so this is a question a lot of people ask me, saying why Godox, and I do talk about a lot, probably about my Godox equipment, because I think uh, Godox is one brand which has like the most versatile number of lights and modifiers. So there is so much of possibilities. There's so much of opportunity to create different kinds of images, and it's also really value for money. Uh, uh, it's really inexpensive compared to some other brands in the market. And yeah, so these are some of the reasons I prefer Godox equipment. Okay. Now again, like I've been like insisting on this right from the beginning. I've been talking about what why I chose AD300 and AD200 in my of lighting kit for weddings. I'll talk about it briefly here. When it comes to weddings, like I said, again, someone asked me the same question, saying what would be the ideal setup. So when it comes to weddings, ideal setup is not by the power of the equipment. It's not about how powerful your light is. It is more about how portable your light is. So I think there should be a very nice balance between power of your equipment versus the size of your equipment. And it's very very important to have like small sized flashes and modifiers that can help you can serve the purpose for you, rather than considering the best of lights like AD600 or AD1200, or big modifiers and things like that. Of course, in my studio, when I have the time, I would probably always look to use an AD600, or I will probably always use the 120 centimeter softbox or something. But when it comes to wedding, I choose like always something that is portable and small size, weight and form factor. And of course, uh, like you would need something much more powerful than your normal flash, than your on-camera flash. So you also need to consider the power. And that is why when AD300 came out, even though I had AD200, I started using this because that just a little more addition of power does help in certain situations. And uh, like I said before, having the flexibility of using something as LED and a flash is definitely something that will be useful in weddings, because sometimes you would just want a quick shot. You would want to see how the light is falling on your subject. You would want to use the light as a modeling lamp and see how the shadows are forming, how the light is falling, and it makes it a lot easier to be quicker during wedding shoots. And you would need equipment that is inconspicuous. You don't want huge soft boxes thrown in front of people, because the minute they notice that there are so many soft boxes, they get extremely conscious, and you will lose that natural moment, because they'll always be conscious that okay, there's a light firing at me, and there is like a camera pointed at me. So then when they become conscious, you don't get those natural moments, those candid moments. So in order to capture those, a photographer needs to be literally invisible. They should not notice you when you're taking pictures. So in order for them to not notice you, you need to have smaller equipment. So I typically, that's one of the reasons I don't like shooting with the 70-200 as well, because that lens is just not invisible. It makes everyone notice you. And I don't like using big flashes because of the same reason. I prefer these small flashes where we can just literally blend into the crowd, and it's not too much of equipment being seen. So, having talked about all this, I just want to like quickly talk about what makes a good photograph. Why do you need lighting in weddings? I know a lot of photographers who still, in spite of all their experience, they still prefer to shoot natural light. While of course everyone has their own reasons, but I strongly believe that artificial light is extremely important. Having your own light is extremely important. So let me just quickly talk about what makes a good photograph. Of course, all of you know that in order to take a good photograph, it has to have strong composition. You need to follow rules of composition. You need to ensure that your photograph is visually pleasing. So in order to do that, it's very simple. If you follow the rules of composition, you will be able to create a photograph that is different from an amateurish snapshot, and it becomes a lot easier. It becomes a lot nicer to look at. So first thing that you need to take care of when you want to make a good photograph is to ensure you have good composition. And then of course you need to have great lighting. There is no excuse for saying that okay, where banquet hall didn't have great lighting, or I was shooting in low light scenario and that's why I didn't get good images or something like that. Because these days artificial lights have become really inexpensive and available and for all, and it's really convenient to use them as well. So if you are still trying to shoot with natural light, I think you should make this change. You should try out artificial lights. You should try out flashes in your shoot. And the third thing, of course, and probably one of the most important things, is that your photograph needs to have a moment or a story. It needs to tell a story. It needs to capture a beautiful moment, and that is when great composition and great lighting will do justice to the photograph only when the photograph has captured an amazing moment. If you have like perfect composition and amazing light, but there is no moment happening, then your photograph is probably not as good. Now coming to why you need external light in weddings. So there will be a lot of situations when there is backlight, right? Like for example, we shot this beach wedding, and we did make a lot of images with natural light as well, but we would want to capture the ambience and real ambience and actually show where the wedding was taking place. Now, as you can see in the first image, the background is almost blown out because this happened in Goa, and it happened in the middle of the day. The background is almost blown out, so you can't really tell that the wedding was happening on a beach right by the ocean, right? So whereas in the second picture, by using a flash, we've actually recovered the ambience, and you're able to see the ocean. You're able to see where the wedding is taking place. Then we can also drop the exposure further, as in the ambient exposure further, and make it a little more, even more obvious, by increasing the power of your flash, like in this image. So here you can clearly see where the event is happening, how beautiful the location looks, how the ocean looked that day, and it is a beach wedding. Whereas in the first image here, you obviously can probably can make out, but you cannot really tell that it was in front of a beach. So whenever there is backlight, even in indoor situations, you may have to shoot against bright, big windows. So whenever there is backlight, when you want to add a little more contrast to your images, you would need external light. And whenever you want to capture ambience, so like for example, we were taking these couple shots and the sun had just set and you can see the blue art looks amazing, and the little bit of lights on the temple had just started to come on, and even the fountains had a little bit of light. But in order to capture all these little details, like how beautiful the sky looked, the clouds, and the little details on the fountains and everything, you need to have external lighting your subjects, because if you expose for the background, then you lose light on your subjects. If you expose for your subjects, you'll completely overexpose the background. So in such scenarios, you definitely need an external light. So even indoors, you need external light to capture ambience. And one of my favorite ways to use lights is to recreate golden hour, because most often we don't get to shoot during golden hour. Although every photographer knows that golden hour is when you should be taking pictures, but during weddings you just don't get to shoot in golden hour, because even sometimes during pre-wedding shoots you don't get to shoot during golden hour, because it all depends on when the client will turn up for the shoot, when the makeup will be done, and when they'll be ready for a picture and things like that. So sometimes you may miss the beautiful golden light, and during weddings you may only get time during middle of the day when the light is really harsh. So in such scenarios you should be able to create light on your own. Like for example, here we've tried to create sunlight using AD600 in the background, in the top right corner, and putting a warm gel on it to create that golden hour kind of an effect. Of course, we've lit the subject with a key light and a fill light as well, so that it looks they look good as well. And you also need to bring out dimension and shape, because it's if you like the image on the right, you can see is shot in natural light. It was an overcast day, it was totally diffused light, so it's not a bad day to shoot at, but you don't see the shape and dimension, you don't see the depth in that image at all. It looks very flat, the light obviously is very flat. So when you add directional lighting to it, it creates a little bit of depth and drama. So it's really important to use external lights for that, to bring out depth in your images. And let's say if you're shooting during Sangeet, there would be a lot of colored lights, and you would want to get like the perfect skin tone on your subjects. And in such situations, you need to use a flash. You cannot just shoot with that yellow, green, red light that is falling on them, because then it doesn't look nice. Again, another example where there was a lot of colored lights and it is essential to bring the right skin tone. And most often the decor in Indian weddings is such that the background is lit with multiple colored lights, and the background is lit in a way such that to the naked eye it looks really good, when people stand in front of it. But when you take a picture, what happens is if you get the exposure right on your subjects, the background will go completely overexposed and you don't see those beautiful colors that they've put in the decor. So in such scenarios, like when people have spent so much money on their wedding decor, if you don't get the right colors and right detail in their wedding decor, it doesn't look nice. So in such scenarios, you need to use external light to light your subject so that the background light is captured as is. Again, another example to capture all the decor details. And to shoot with in harsh sunlight. This again was shot in Goa in the middle of the day, because the wedding got over at around like 1 o'clock, 1:30, and this shot was taken around that time, because they had to get back to their hotel to change into their reception attire. So they didn't really have time to we didn't have time to shoot during the golden hour, so we had to shoot then, and we had like 5 minutes. So in such scenario, when you want to show the ambience, when you want to show the location in the right colors, you need external lights. And one of the most common questions I get is why, how do you get sharp images? Why don't my images come sharp? That's the one of the most common questions I get during wedding workshops. One of the reasons your images are not looking sharp like others is because you're not using a flash to freeze your subjects. So whenever during weddings, when things are happening in a fast pace, you would need to add an external light, a flash with a fast flash to freeze your subject, so that whatever motion is happening, even whatever little motion is happening, will get frozen. And sometimes you have absolutely no light, like usually we love taking the first look images where the groom sees the bride dressed up, his bride dressed up as a bride for the first time. And most often, sometimes these happen in the middle of the evening, or in a complete dark space. Like for example, here the groom was waiting for the bride to get to the reception. He was just waiting in the car. He was already seated in the car, and when the bride came in, we could see his face light up. So we wanted to capture that moment as is, and it was in an absolutely dark uh, you know corridor with no light at all. So we had to use an external light. So in such scenarios, like when there is absolutely no light or very low light, you definitely need a flash. Yeah. Likewise here, like when the bride was, bride wanted to dance in her sangeet, but she was very conscious of all the relatives, so she didn't dance on the stage. Instead she just went to one corner of the venue, and she started dancing with her friends. So we wanted to get that shot, and the light there was not great, so then you would need a flash. And one of my favorite techniques of using a flash is to eliminate clutter, because we all know that weddings sometimes, or the locations sometimes get a little cluttered. There will be a lot of things lying around, especially towards the end of the wedding. There will be a lot of things lying around, and there'll be like chairs everywhere. There'll be dinner plates everywhere. So you wouldn't want to lose the shot, because there is like so much of clutter, or you wouldn't want to include that clutter in your images. So in such scenarios, I prefer to like cut the ambient light completely, darken the background, and use the flash to light my subjects. Again, like in this image, similar scene, this was shot in the dining hall. I really liked the floor, how it was reflecting on the lights in the ceiling. So I wanted to make a shot here, but it was shot in a dining hall at the end of the reception. So you can imagine there was so much of dirty plates lying around. There were chairs around, so we just wanted to darken everything and just have the attention drawn to the bride. And then you would want to get creative as well. So you could try your flashes with a long exposure, like how I've tried here. I've used a long exposure of 10 seconds, in which I've captured the motion of the clouds, motion of the ocean, as well as the more light painting that we did. And I've lit the couple with a flash, frozen them with flash, so that even after the 10-second exposure, they will be frozen in the image. So this was again shot from outside, where the bride was getting ready. I was just walking around, trying to find some locations to do her bridal portraits. And then I noticed that the bride was already ready inside, and there was really nice blue hour. In the This was shot early in the morning, so very nice blue hour in the morning before the sunrise. So I wanted to get that blue hour as well as light her inside. So I placed her inside. I lit her inside and then shot from outside the balcony. And you can use various kinds of modifiers to create and shape your light to make some creative images. Like we talked about low key images. This is again one example for a low key image. This was shot with a single light. So you can try various modifiers and lighting tools. Just experiment with different kinds of uh, lights and modifiers, and you can get a whole new set of images that you can shoot in weddings. So even if, let's say, you don't have a great location to shoot at, just having a white wall, a plain wall will be sufficient to create some interesting images if you have a good, grasp of lighting. Okay, so let me. Okay, so are there any more questions? I think we've extended it the time.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any more questions? Do you guys have any more questions? Do feel
Yes,
free
ma'am.
to.
One question a person asked. Actually, this I think you have explained about this, but again he is asking in the wedding hall how to use the Godox light for a proper lighting setup
For a proper lighting setup.
in the wedding hall.
Okay, so uh, use a good modifier, because don't use bare bulb all the time unless you need a lot of power and you're shooting outdoors and you don't have more powerful lights like I explained earlier. But use a good modifier. I prefer to use either a softbox or depending on how portable I want the system to be, I may even use like the AKR1 modifiers on my AD200. But if you want to get good quality light, then use a small softbox. Again, small softbox because it will be portable. If you get a larger softbox, the light quality will improve, but it may not be portable. So consider getting a good softbox, like either like an octabox, or it could you could even consider like a small parabolic softbox. I know now there is like a quick release version of uh, P70, which is like a 70-inch, 70 centimeter parabolic softbox. So you can consider experimenting with different kinds of modifiers, and try and set up the light in an angle which is flattering on the subject. Put it on a light stand, keep it at a 45-degree angle so that the light is falling at an angle and not straight. So that's why you should never use your on-camera flash, directly onto your subject. I've seen a lot of photographers who shoot with an on-camera flash. Like, I've seen a lot of photographers shoot like this. This never looks good on your subject because it will not create flattering light. It will create flat light, which will make the light lose all direction. Directional lighting is any day better. So put it on a stand, put it, or ask one of your friends to hold it at an angle so that the light reaches your subject at an angle instead of directly.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question.
Yeah.
The Godox has recently launched that QR 70 and 80, 90 models. And what is the difference? How it will differ from SBGUE 80?
Okay, SPGU 80, I'm not sure what that is. Is that the 80 centimeter octobox?
Yes, 80 centimeter of the bus. Uh,
Okay.
Asking difference between that
Okay,
QR
so
series.
QR series is basically quick release series, which is extremely easy to set up. You just have to like, it kind of like, just opens up like an umbrella, and like you can very quickly fit it into a softbox. It hardly takes any time to set it up. Whereas if someone owns a P90 or P 120, you'll know that to set up like a 16 spoke parabolic softbox, it takes a bit of time, like at least like 5 minutes of time. Sometimes we don't even have that much time to set up. So this quick release system is something that's very new. I'm also like really looking forward to exploring that. I still don't have it, but hopefully I'll get it soon, and then I'll make a video on how easy it is to assemble it. But if you want something that is very fast to assemble and easy to assemble, then go for the QR series, QRP70 or QRP90, which will be really fast to set up, and you don't have to waste time in setting up your modifiers.
Okay. Definitely, this answer will be very useful to him. And ma'am, one person is asking relation between the aperture and external flash. How to adjust it in for a perfect lighting?
So, okay, so you basically have asked the question what we explain and teach in a lighting workshop. It'll take a bit of time to explain and to make you understand. So, what I suggest is attend some lighting workshops, uh, uh, be it from a Godox mentor or some online classes, because this is not something that can be explained in just 2 or 3 lines. It will take a bit of time. So attend some workshops, or if you we do conduct a lot of workshops in our studio, so you can always we do have some workshops coming up online as well, so you can always attend that and get your when you listen to us and watch us shoot, you'll get the understanding of how it all is related.
Sure.
So I
Uh,
see Kumar is asking
yes.
TTL or manual, which mode is better.
Yes.
I prefer manual mode because even when I shoot, the camera settings are also on all on manual. So I don't want the flash to be on auto or TTL, because sometimes I purposely would underexpose a certain scene, or maybe I'm trying to create a very low key kind of a shot. I don't prefer TTL because sometimes I prefer that finer control. But of course, if you're new, you can always use TTL and use flash exposure compensation whenever you want to, like, get it lower or higher depending on the kind of scene you are trying to light. But if you want to learn in detail, I think it's better to use it in manual mode, because that's when you learn faster.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's
Absolutely.
always good to have like full control with yourself rather than the camera or the flash. So that's why I prefer the manual mode.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Absolutely right. Okay, ma'am. I don't questions. If you have any questions, please comment in the comment section. Nita Shankar ma'am is answering all your questions. I hope this answer will be very useful to you. So please use this comment session, and please post your questions.
Okay, thanks, Rahi. I see that Rahi found the session helpful. I'm glad it helped. Uh, we will be having a lot more sessions in future on Godox channel, as well as we do discuss all of these topics on Clubhouse as well. Like I mentioned earlier, do join us there as well for discussion.